Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radha Damodar Prabhu. It was a fantastic Kirtan, Prabhu. Thank you very much for that. So we'll start the class, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna devotees. Thank you all for joining. So we have a wonderful speaker today. His Grace Radha Damodar Prabhu. I mean, he doesn't need any introduction. As we all know him, he is well known for his selfless services to our temple and for his wonderful devotional qualities. He's such a kind person, very kind devotee, and very dedicated to Srila Prabhupada and to his movement. And also, he is very sincere in devotion as well. So we are very, very fortunate to have him as today's speaker. So with that, let us welcome Radha Damodar Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Radha Damodar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I'll speak from Bhagavad Gita today. I'm going to share my screen. Hare Krishna, devotees. Welcome to the Sunday Feast program. Today we are going to speak on the 15th chapter and 15th verse from Bhagavad Gita. So before we start, we'll sing Jai Radha Damodar, which will bring up the auspiciousness before the class. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana नंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So before we start our class, we should invoke all the prayers to please the Gurujana. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashilakaya Chakshurmidamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Vidakpadakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Ruvam Sagraham Sagajana Jagunatha Vidamstam Sajivam Swadaivam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Vishamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude. Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranama Haripriye. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Evaja Paditana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidhi Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrind. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we will be reading from Sri Bhagavad Gita. Before that, we have a special occasion also. Now we have it was Sri Ramanujacharya's appearance day yesterday. So I just wanted to briefly touch upon Sripad Ramanujacharya. So yesterday today morning Veena Mataji had sent a link describing the details about Sripad Sri Ramanujacharya. Sri Ramanujacharya was the founder Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, and that is one of the most bona fide, one of the four bona fide sampradayas in the Vaishnava system. Sri Ramanujacharya was born in Sri Perumbattur, and he spread at the time when Ramanujacharya was there, it was filled with Advaita philosophy spread by Sripad Shankaracharya. And Ramanujacharya was the first Acharya who changed that Advaita philosophy to Dvaita philosophy. He spread the message of worshipping the Supreme Lord, deity worship. He introduced everything, and he is the first Vaishnava to change the whole Advaita philosophy into Dvaita philosophy. So on this occasion, we want to get the blessing of Sri Ramanujacharya So we all pray for the blessing of Sri Ramanujacharya. Hare Krishna. More details, please read the message sent by Veena Mataji and in the WhatsApp channel. Hare Krishna. With that, we'll go back to our Bhagavad Gita. So the verse for today is from 15th chapter, 15th verse. So we'll start with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smriti jnanamabohanam cha vedescha sarvairahameva vidyo vedanta kritveda vid eva chaham. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smriti jnanamabohanam cha vedescha sarvairahameva vidyo vedanta kritveda viddeva chaham. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha vedesya sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta kritveda viddeva chaham. Hare Krishna devotees, whoever wants to sing this verse, please unmute yourself and please recite this verse.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्विष्टो मदा स्मृत्यानम् अपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहम् एव वेद्यो वेदान्तहृद्वेदविद् एव चाहम्.
Anyone else?
Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivisto matta smrtir jnanam apohanam cha vedascha sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta kritveda vid eva chaham.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निवेष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्य वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम्.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्ता स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमापोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्.
All right, one more person if anybody interested.
सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टः मत्ता स्मृतिज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यः वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहम्.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So next we'll move on to the synonyms and translation. Sarvasya, of all living beings, cha and aham, I, hridi, in this heart, sannivishta, situated, mataha, from me, smriti, remembrance, jnanam, knowledge, apohanam, forgetfulness, cha and vedais, by Vedas, cha also, sarvaiha, all, aham, I am, eva, certainly, vedya, knowledge, vedantagrit, the compiler of the Veda, Vedavit, the knower of the Veda, eva, certainly, cha and aham, I. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So we have the purport. Any volunteers for reading this purport?
The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is worshipable not only as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna in his incarnation as Vyasadeva is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of the Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Personality, the Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and the digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, and the giver of knowledge in the form of the Vedas. And as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita, he is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good, God is all merciful.
There's some more. Sorry. Anyone else wants to read?
Anta pravista sasta jnanam, the living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So, not only does a living entity enjoy or suffer in this world, according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord, situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yo sa sarvair vedai jyate. In all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutras, and the Upanishads and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performance of Vedic rituals, discussion of the Vedic philosophy, and worship of the Lord in devotional service, he is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas gives us direction by which to understand Krishna and the process of realizing him. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.4 and the process of realizing him. The Vedanta Sutra confirms this in the following words. Tat dadu samana vayat. One can attain perfection in 3 stages. By understanding Vedic literature, one can understand his relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead. By performing the different process, one can approach him, and at the end, one can attain the supreme goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, the purpose of the Vedas, The understanding of the Vedas and the goal of the Vedas are clearly defined.
Thank you, Kannan Prabhu and Satyarupa Gauranga Prabhuji. All right, so let's try to understand this. Before we get into the main verse, we'll get a brief summary of about chapter 15. The chapter 15, the title is the Yoga of the Supreme Person, that is the Purushottam Yoga. At the end of the chapter 14, Krishna is described that Krishna described that one who transcends the three modes of material nature through one can transcend the three modes of material nature through devotional services, and to attain that one has to practice detachment from material world. And the chapter 15 begins by explaining the detachment. We need to do the detachment and of this material world, and the material world is compared to a banyan tree, inverted banyan tree, so which is a reflection of the spiritual world. Right. So going to the next session, and till in the beginning of this chapter we are so how to detach, becoming detached from material world, that should be our important part. Basically material world is just a pure reflection of the spiritual world, and we should be surrendering to Krishna and attain the spiritual world. That's the goal. And also talks about transmigration. The goal should be to learn to leave this material world and return back to the spiritual world. That should be our objective of our life. And all living entities are eternally part and parcel of Krishna, and we are still moving from one body to another body in search of some pleasure, right? So it's never ending karma chakra we go through. And the one who has knowledge about all this thing, that is the transcendentalist, he can or who practice bhakti yoga, he can clearly see all this thing, but a materialistic person cannot understand or make sense out of this. That's what the teaching from the beginning of this chapter. And towards the verse 15, it is establishing the Krishna's position as our maintainer. So various examples are given. One of the questions most people ask, can you show me God? But God is there everywhere. Krishna is telling in these verses that you can, I am the splendor of sun, moon, the fire, everything is coming from me. So when we see sun, moon, we can remember Krishna. And Lord also holds the vegetables, also maintains us by supplying vegetables, and they are all nourished by the moonshine which comes from the Lord. And after, when we take the food, to digest that we need fire, that's also Krishna's energy. We need life air, that's also Krishna's energy. So Krishna is there everywhere, right? And then Krishna says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness, and by all the Vedas I am to be known, and indeed I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So these verses actually help us to know things that are taking place in this material world. So we are to understand our material, help us understand this material world, how it is functioning. There is the Krishna's hand in everything, right? And we are entangled in this material world, right? We are going through various cycles of birth and death, and we don't want to get out of this place until that knowledge comes, right? So we can we can know Krishna, and we can we can appreciate Krishna by seeing him as a maintainer of this phenomenal world. That's the purpose of this previous verses here, and up to leading up to this one. Now, so if you see these verses, you can clearly see these are some of the things which we can perceive easily. Sun you can perceive, moon you can perceive. All these living entities can be easily perceived, and we can recognize Krishna. And without sun we cannot live, without moon we cannot live. So we can start appreciating Krishna, right? And he is maintaining us. So we can develop attraction to Krishna by knowing his position as a maintainer, right? Our maintainer is on both cosmic and personal levels. We can feel it, you can see that. And Krishna also gives us Vedas. Okay, basically when we came to this material world, we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. That's the whole reason we came here. Now Krishna didn't want to leave us. He's our father. He's the seed giving father. So he wants, just like any father, father wants our children to be with him with a loving relation all the time, right? But we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, so we are put in this material world. And when he sent to, okay, you go ahead and enjoy the material world, and also he gave us instruction through Vedas. It's a user manual. He printed a user manual and gave it to us, called Vedas, and by which you know how to come back. By reading and studying and practicing it, you can come back to Krishna. Now these Vedas describe a vast system of activities, so they are divided into Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda, and Upasana Kanda. Okay, and these are designed to gradually purify our consciousness and realize Krishna and what was our position before, what is our real original position, and what is our goal of life. All those things are described, and in a systematic way we can learn Vedas and we can get back to Krishna. That is the user manual given to us. So in this verse there are few major points. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, and by all Vedas I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Right? We'll go through one by one. So remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So our existence in the material world is due to our desire to enjoy ourselves, as I mentioned earlier. And Krishna wants to fulfill our desire, so he sends us to this material world. But this material world has its own laws. Okay, we are forced to accept this laws of this material world. Okay, you can enjoy, but Krishna wants us back, right? So he also he ensures that that's why he has designed this material world in such a way that it is a dukkhalayam. It's not a place where eternal pleasure you can get. You are always reminded by the Krishna's energy, Maya, to remind us to go back to the real world. So we'll be always put into miseries, and gradually we get fed up with this miseries, and we start questioning ourselves, why am I suffering? And that's when we start seeking this knowledge. We want to know, who am I, what is my purpose of this life. That's when we try to understand and start seeking the spiritual knowledge, right? The scientists are always trying to prolongate our life, trying to make our life smooth and painless, right? They start inventing many medicines so many things. They want to prolong it our life so that we can enjoy more. But the reality is that nobody is enjoying this life. The material place is known as Dukkhalayam. So, but we have actually forgotten our real position, right? So that is the forgetfulness. We don't remember anything about our past life, right? We have gone through, we have already taken millions of births in this material world from time immemorial, but we forgot. We don't remember anything about our last life, right? So that is forgetfulness. Krishna is giving that forgetfulness, and knowledge is also given by Krishna. Krishna is sitting within the heart as Paramatma, and and the modern scientists explain this as intuition, right? They don't know where this intuition is actually coming from, right? It's actually coming from God himself. So here it is stated matta. Matta means from me. Matta smritir jnanam abohanam cha. Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful example. A small cub, a dog cub, it's just born, but it has not opened its eyes yet. But it is still, it goes right after birth, it is going seeking milk from his mother, right? It's able to go to his mother, and where is that knowledge coming from? It's all within themselves, right? That is what is God. That is the message. That intuition is coming from God. So that knowledge is coming from God. Okay, this is one of the beautiful examples Srila Prabhupada gave. Therefore, now right after birth, one person begins his work according to the past deeds based on our karma. Whatever we did in the last life, it begins where we left. Our consciousness dictates what is our next step is, and we start working from there. Our activities, our behavior, everything comes from there. So the required knowledge is supplied by Krishna himself, right? And remembrance is also given, and he also forgets about his past life. So that is the significance of the remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness here. Next point is, I am seated in everyone's heart. As explained in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there are two souls within this body. Okay, earlier in the 13th chapter, there is a description of kshetra. Kshetra means this body. Okay, and kshetrajna means the occupant of this body, namely super. There are who are the people who are occupying this body? There are two people. One is your individual soul. We ourselves are occupying this body, and another one is the super soul, Paramatma. And the super soul and the individual souls are like two birds sitting on the same tree, right, on this material body. Right? They are both are sitting, and they know each. And one bird, that is the individual soul, that is yourself, ourself, is a forgetful bird, right? We don't know anything about past life, nothing we know, right? We forget all our activities, and it is eating the fruit of the tree, right? It is actually enjoying, it is trying to enjoy everything in this material world. It is you do something, I get some fruit benefit, and I enjoy. That is the nature of this individual soul. That's what we do. We are working hard every day just to enjoy this material world. And side by is the other bird, that is the super soul. And the super soul is actually giving instruction, okay, to the other bird. Okay, please do this way, please do that. this is the right path, this is the wrong path. But we don't care for that instructions. It is coming in the form of intuitions, and we just ignore that. We don't care. We are so conditioned in this material world that we just want to enjoy this material world, even though we are suffering. This is a dukkhalaya. And this other bird, which is the super soul, is actually a witness to all our activities, right? And he's actually the real friend of us. This, because that is a super soul, that is Krishna himself, and he's trying to help us go back to our real position. He's trying to give us knowledge, but we don't want to listen to him, right? That is our position. And the super soul is always there with us, right? Birth after birth. So we have already taken millions of birth, and super soul knows all our activities during each and every birth. But we have forgotten everything. All nonsenses that we did, all the sinful activities that we did, super soul knows. Super soul is still trying to guide us. He is so merciful. Krishna is so merciful. He wants us to go back more than we want to go back. So he's trying to give us all the intuition, knowledge, everything. He's so merciful that he's sitting within our heart. So there was one of my friends once said, he said, I don't know where the God is, but I think he is in the heart. That is one of my friends saying. This person is searching for God. He's thinking, okay, no, God is not on this statue. God is not there, as most of the people say. Like that, he starts explaining. But he comes to a conclusion that God has to be within the heart. The reality is that that's true. God is within our heart, as explained here. And God is everywhere also. He is in every atom and in between atom. Right? So that's what our scriptures are saying. Right? So Krishna is everywhere. And he is also sitting within our heart as Paramatma. And he is the best friend actually. And it is asserted elsewhere also in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita 18:61. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshu Arjuna tishtadi brahmanya sarva bhutani yandrarudhani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated on a machine made of material energy. So it is asserted elsewhere also in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is seated in everyone's heart. Krishna is present in everyone's heart, and even ants, grasses, etc. So he is there in all living beings. So we should be mindful of that. We should be respectful of all living beings. Right? We cannot cause pain to any living entities. That should be our position. Once we know the fact that Krishna is there in you, me, and all our friends, all our relatives, all our children, then we start respecting everyone. And when Krishna becomes the center of our activities, then there is peace and love everywhere. And we all make progress if we understand that part. And it is from Paramatma that all our activities are initiated. So basically Paramatma directs us on many things. So that's what the commentary by Srila Prabhupada. So and he is worshipable not only. So now the question of how do we worship Krishna? Krishna is many people worship as an impersonal Brahman, right? Many people cannot see Krishna as a person. So Krishna can be worshipped as an impersonal Brahman, or Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as localized Paramatma. These are various stages by one goes through to understand the Supreme Lord. Everybody is trying to understand Krishna. So we can realize Krishna in as Brahman, Paramatma, or and finally the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's a gradual realization about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One of the great example told in this scriptures are that Srila Prabhupada is that you can when you go to a mountainous place, and from when you approach the mountain, you first see the mountain from far away, so you get a rough idea about this the mountain. So it looks very bluish, greenish from far away, and it just the shape of it. That's like a Brahman realization, impersonal Brahman realization. You have a high level idea. You don't know what is it in it. Then when we come closer to the mountain, we start seeing various types of trees, very clear a picture of the trees, and it is not that just the green color. There are red color as well. There are other colors of trees, leaves, and everything is there. So that is the Paramatma realization, the next level of realization. And then when we actually reaches the mountain once, then we can see there are birds, small living creatures, various streams, waterfall, so many things you see. That is the full knowledge. You get the full knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the comparison we do for understanding the Supreme Lord. So the person can slowly, gradually progress, make realization in this way. And one of the important part is Paramatma realization. He is sitting within our heart. That realization also comes, and this is easily achieved by the practice of Bhakti Yoga. So that's why we are preaching Bhakti Yoga. If you just straight away take up Bhakti Yoga, we are directly trying to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we don't have to go through these various steps of impersonal realization. So that is what is recommended in Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna himself. And in all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedas, and I am the knower of the Vedas. That is the next topic. So the Godhead and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of incarnation of Vedas as well. So Vedas are actually an incarnation of the Lord himself. Vedas are actually coming from Krishna, because Veda is an incarnation of the compiler of Vedas, Vyasadeva. He is an incarnation of Krishna himself, and he has compiled Vedanta Sutra to supplement understanding of the whole Veda, and and Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and all these things are written by Vyasadeva himself. The whole purpose of Vedas is for us to understand, as mentioned earlier, is the user manual. When we buy a product, we get a user manual along with that. So this user manual tells us how to go back to understand your real position, and how to go back to Krishna. So what is our purpose of life? Everything is explained, and that is Krishna himself is giving us this knowledge. So that's the important part of this one. So and why did Krishna do that? Because Krishna is so merciful person. He wants us back. He's coming and teaching us Bhagavad Gita, right? He is giving Bhagavad Gita so that people will read and understand and realize the real position. And he is giving all this information, and he is also sending not only he's giving these Vedas, he's also sending us messengers, right? He's empowering many acharyas to come to earth, come to this material world and take us back, teach us, like Srila Prabhupada is an ideal example, and he is teaching us the Bhagavad Gita, the meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. And there are so many bona fide acharyas. They are all trying to teach us the true meaning of Bhagavad Gita, because they are sent by Sri Krishna himself. So Krishna is so merciful. So we are to take advantage of whatever is available to us. And Vedas provide these perfection in 3 stages, right? So this is taken from Srila Prabhupada's commentary itself. So the 3 stages are establishing relationship with as the purpose of Vedas. So by understanding the Vedic literature, one understands the relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the first stage is we understand what is our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So by systematically studying this Vedic literature, so we are recommended to first study Bhagavad Gita, then study Srimad Bhagavatam, then study Sri Chaitanya Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like that, when we study systematically, we come to know the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And once we make progress, Krishna gives us the intelligence, right? So Krishna gives us the right intelligence. When we are sincere about studying this one, Krishna gives the right intelligence to understand this Vedic knowledge. Then once we understand, the next stage is understanding the process of Vedas. Now by performing various processes, we can approach him. We can now start approaching Krishna. So one examples are Vedic rituals and discussion, Krishna Katha. So we discuss the philosophy like this. What we are doing is a discussion of the Vedic philosophy right now. So these process, these are called the Krishna consciousness process. So Srila Prabhupada has established a systematic way of doing all these steps, right? He has established Sunday Feast program. We encourage all of you to attend this Sunday Feast program. That way we all follow this path, what is mentioned here, right? That way we make progress, and we benefit, and we make the next stage. We are able to understand the next stage. We eventually come to the last stage, which is the goal of Vedas, is to find the Supreme Lord, Supreme God, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will be able to eventually go back to Krishna by following this path. So we strongly encourage everybody to take full advantage of this process. So today we have some special announcements. So we have made the class shorter, and we'll go to the summary quickly on this one. The summary of what we have discussed is Krishna is seated in everyone's heart. So we just need to remember this fact when we are dealing with every living being, and when we see super soul in all our behavior, or when we see super soul in everyone, our behavior changes, and we become more happy by remembering Krishna, and we are all, and by making Krishna at the center of our activities, we are all more peaceful, more happy, right? That is one of the lessons we learned from this chapter, this verse. Then from me comes the remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. So here we had to practice Krishna consciousness very nicely. Then Krishna will give us the right knowledge at the right time, and that way we will get Krishna's mercy, and eventually we will be able to go back to Godhead. We all want to go back in this lifetime itself. That should be our goal. This is a place of misery. If we don't go back in this lifetime, we take one more birth then we forgot everything. The forgetfulness happens there. Whatever we learned, of course, whatever we learned spiritually, we start from wherever we are left. It is never a loss, whatever we are doing. But we again have to start learning from Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? We all have to start from there again. Again, the material world is only degrading. The Kali Yuga is only degrading. So in our next birth, it will be much worse than what we have right now. So we don't want to suffer again that way. All right. So the next point is, by all Vedas I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So by reading Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam every day, we learn more and more about the Supreme Lord. And by discussing with the association of these devotees, that's what we are doing, we actually learn more, and Krishna will eventually reveal more about himself to us. That way we make spiritual progress, and we will be able to achieve our Supreme Lord. So now I'll open up for questions and comments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No questions, Prabhu, but thank you so much for teaching us. You have given really, very valid points, so many valid points. Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks once again for a wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kanan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very nice class. You prepared it from all different angles in Srila Prabhupada's commentary and giving different verses from Bhagavad Gita. Excellent class, I would say. I had one question. When you say Lord Krishna gives us forgetfulness as well as remembrance in the form of knowledge, but what is the reason of giving us forgetfulness? On the contrary, if we know our past lives, how much sufferings we have undergone, then would it not be easier for us to come out of this place of misery sooner?
Hare Krishna Mataji, that's a very excellent question. Let me see if I can answer. We have taken billions of births, Mataji. So, and think about we knowing everything. It's unimaginable. On one hand, we might think, knowing everything will help me, but that it is by our choice that we have taken birth. We are taking this birth again and again. We want to enjoy separately from Krishna. It is our free will that we are exercising. So it is by choice Krishna is making us forget the past life so that you can continue to enjoy. So that is my understanding. Satsara Prabhu, would you like to comment on that, Prabhu?
You said it nicely, Prabhu. Maybe I'll just add on to what you said. So Sugopi Mataji, this is basically the forgetfulness is, there are two things. One is a forgetfulness of the soul, the soul's eternal position, which is to serve the Lord, the constitutional position, right? So that is the root cause of everything. So soul wants to enjoy separate from Krishna. So then soul forgets the real identity, comes to this world and assumes different forms, then goes on with life by associating with the three modes, Purusha, Prakriti, Stoyi, right? Bhungte, Prakriti, Jan, Gunan. So then it experiences the things in this world. So in order for soul to think that, okay, I can enjoy separate from Krishna, the soul needs certain things to go on with that plan. So Krishna provides that. He provides that forgetfulness. If you remember all the past bad things, you cannot move on with your life because those things keeps coming and you cannot enjoy your so-called enjoyment in the material world. So Krishna facilitates it because that is soul's desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. So Krishna provides all the facilities to go after that. Okay, but when we get knowledge, so that's why Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. The knowledge is the knowledge of the scriptures through the association of devotees. When we just understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, then recognize the Supreme Lord, then you want to act accordingly. Then Krishna gives the remembrance that the original forgetfulness of the soul start to remember its original constitutional position and its relationship with the Lord. Then it is not forgetfulness anymore. It's not a material forgetfulness. It is spiritual remembrance. And that connects us with the Lord, and the soul start to revive its original relationship with the Lord. It makes sense to you?
Yeah.
If you, so that's why this verse, the first two lines are for the jivas to enjoy in this world separate from Krishna. If you want to, Krishna provides that also. The next two lines, the last two lines, is when jiva understands that we are off track, we need to come back to our original constitutional position and recognize the Lord and serve him. Then the last two lines gives the opportunity to do that also of the verse.
Good. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Nicely explained.
No problem. Thank you, Mataji. Over to you, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you, Sara Prabhu. Thank you, Sukupi Mataji, for that wonderful question. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome, Prabhu.
Anybody has any other questions or comments? All right. Looks like Sara Prabhu, shall we
Yes, Prabhu.
move on? Okay.
I'll just give a quick thank you note. Thank you very much, Radha Damodar Prabhu, for the wonderful class. To me, you explained so nicely how Krishna is the maintainer of everything, and understanding that truth and what one should know or what one should do. So you explained it very well. You also explained that the super soul Paramatma, being very merciful, it gives us a good advice always. But it is the conditioned souls because of our forgetfulness of our real identity. And we don't want to listen to the super soul, but go with the plans of the mind and the senses. So you explained it so well. Then, of course, you also talked about the best, how to approach Krishna. What is the best way to approach Krishna, which is through devotional service. And that comes by developing the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and other Bhakti scriptures. So you explained it so well, Prabhu. So thank you very much. It was a beautiful class, and we look forward to the next class, your class. So with that, I will I'll give it to you and Swarnamanjari Mataji to make the announcement.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for joining us. We have some special announcement to make. I will hand over to Swarnamanjari Mataji to talk about it. Hare Krishna, Swarnamanjari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much, Radha Damodar Prabhu, for the wonderful class. And this class was very appropriate for what we are going to talk about now, because Krishna is seated in all our hearts. So he gives us remembrance, he gives us forgetfulness. So what do we learn from here? I'll start off with, thanking Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Maharaj, and senior devotees like Satyasar Prabhu and Jaisudbhadra Mataji, who guided us for the last several years. And I've only benefited for the last 2 years, but I can see how beautifully they have carried on this progress of the Hare Krishna Temple of Austin. And on their behalf today, I want to kick off what we call a 550 campaign. So I think the question in everybody's mind is, what is 550 campaign? As you know, we moved into the, Adventure Lane property I would say October. Was it October of 2019, Prabhuji, or September of September of 2019? And but ultimately, we know that is not our home for our temple. We know we all want a new temple for Radharani and Krishna. So we are working towards that. There is a committee that has been created, and we're working towards that. And Satyasar Prabhu also shared a little bit about it during the Gaur Purnima festival. So as I said, a committee was formed a few months ago, and to look into the viable possibilities to make this dream come true. And I know that many of you have probably been part of building a temple before, and you are aware that this is a huge endeavor. It's a huge lift on any new temple, and it doesn't happen with one person alone. It takes a whole, as they say, it takes a village. So here we're saying it takes our whole community and beyond our community. And even with a very, very, I would say, modest vision, we're not looking for all the bells and whistles. We're not looking to, make something that is going to be the size of a TOVP. We're looking for a very average, modest vision, which we know will serve us for years to come. And, we will be able to scale in that property. When we look at the cost of land, building, development, it's estimated at least in the range of 2 million. Now, we all know that is no small amount, and that is not an amount that only one person can, write a check and get us going. So in order to kick this off, our fundraising efforts, we are launching what is the 550 campaign today. So like every project, we need to break it out into milestones. If I start with 2 million, it's almost like, when you start kindergarten, you're working your way towards college. That way, consider this our kindergarten model, and we have to work our way towards building this temple. So like everything, you have to break it out into milestones. And our first milestone for the new temple is raising 500,000 in 50 days. Okay. Again, it may sound overwhelming, but I can tell you with, we've done some back of the hand math, and I don't want to, what should I say, put pressure on anybody with our back of the hand math, but I know it is an achievable goal. The good news is we already have received, even before we kicked off this campaign, we've already received $50,000 from our community, from our temple community. So that makes us an inch closer, right? It's more assuring that, okay, if before we kicked off the campaign, we've already got a pledge of $50,000, now we have to cover the balance, which is $450,000. The campaign goes until June 6th. So 50 days from today is June 6th, okay? And if we can really fire ourselves up, one, of course, as they say, charity begins at home. We have to start from within our community, but it doesn't mean that we have to stay within our community. We want to go beyond our community. Each of you may know a few friends or a few relatives who are in philanthropy, and because of their wealth amassed so far. So we want each of us to not only think of what we can do with our Lakshmi, but also how we can invite others to be part of this. So as I said, the campaign goes on till June 6th. And if we can really fire this up, which I'm hoping we can, we could please Lord Narsingadev by getting to our goal 10 days early. So Narsingh Chaturdashi is on May 25th. So if we can wrap up 10 days early, we will please Lord Narsingadev significantly. So I want everybody to keep this goal. 550 means